Right.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 19th, 2021 meeting of the Personnel Commission for Long Beach Community College District. We thank you for joining us. We're going to start off this evening by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Jennifer, do you mind leading us for this evening?
Sure, I don't mind, Janine. Everybody please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jennifer. And Jeff, thank you for having that well-placed flag. We appreciate it.
Dembski gave it to me.
It's nice. Roll call for this evening. Robin? Can't hear you, Robin.
Here.
Thank you. Jeff?
Here.
And I'm present. We're all present this evening. On to public comments on agenda items. Do we have any public comments for this evening, Juliet?
No comments received today.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who wanted to say something before we get started, just in case you didn't turn in your comments? Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead to the approval of the minutes. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
And is there any discussion on this item? Anybody have any comments for the minutes for the last meeting? Hearing and seeing none. Robin?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
I vote aye. That passes unanimously. On to new business, adoption of resolution for 2021. This is for Classified School Employee Week, one of my favorite weeks of the year. Jennifer, would you like to fill us in on that?
Sure. Annually, we like to acknowledge the service that the classified staff provides to the campus. And so we adopt this resolution. This year, the Classified Employee Week will be May 16th through the 22nd. And would you like me to read it aloud or do you want to cover it more extensively?
If you don't mind, that would be great.
Sure, I don't mind doing that.
Thank you.
Let me go ahead and pull it up. Dario or Juliet, do you have it readily available? I'll go ahead and pull it up.
It's on the screen, Jennifer.
Oh, thank you. You two are faster than me. Thank you so much. Okay, so it says, whereas classified school employees provide valuable services to the students of Long Beach Community College District, and whereas classified school employees contribute to establishing and promoting a positive learning environment and the success of students, and whereas classified school employees serve a vital role in providing for the welfare and safety of the Long Beach Community College District's students and staff, and whereas classified school employees employed by the Long Beach Community College District strive for excellence in all areas throughout the educational community, and whereas Classified School Employee Week is cited in the Education Code of the State of California per section 88270, now therefore be it resolved that the Personnel Commission of Long Beach Community College District hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contributions of the classified school employees and recognizes the week of May 16th through 22nd of 2021 as Classified School Employee Week in the Long Beach Community College District, adopted this 19th day of April 2021.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. How do we actually sign this year?
Once we approve it, Juliet can send it through Adobe Sign and we can capture all of your signatures that way.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any comments on this item for our resolution for Classified Employee Week? I just want to share that historically, Jeff has not been able to participate, Robin has not been able to participate, but I think a critical piece of our mission for the Personnel Commission has been to celebrate our employees, not just this week, but throughout the year. But one of the ways that we've done that in the past, before Jeff and Robin were with us, or before COVID, I should say, is that we had a luncheon for the employees that was sponsored by the Personnel Commission. And Jennifer and I have been brainstorming a little bit about how we can do that. Of course, it has to be a safe function. It has to be in the future at some point when the governor and our interim president, Dr. Munoz, decide that this is appropriate. But I don't want that really great piece of community and collegiality and morale building to be lost. So I want to make sure that it's on everyone's radar, that we have not forgotten. We don't want to ignore or pretend that this hasn't happened in the past. We want to make sure that it's kept for a future date. Whenever we are able to get back together, we will absolutely have that celebration, and we're not sure what form it will take, but some sort of celebration for our classified employees, and hopefully that would be some sort of lunch as we've done in the past. So I just wanted to share that with everyone so they didn't think that we were going to be forgetting that. It's just such a fun event, and I think everyone has really enjoyed it in the past. Any comments about any of this from anyone else? Robert, Donna, do you want to share anything on this or no?
I can. I know because of COVID, we can't have a luncheon, and we all tried really hard to come up with solutions to that. And unfortunately, for safety of the classified, that's not an option this particular semester. But Jennifer worked real hard to try to come up with stuff, and we met as a committee to work on that, and we just couldn't work out the details to make that happen for classified. And we were all sorry about that, but I think it just has to be twice as big next year.
I was hoping that maybe we could do it as an alternate event sometime during our ability to come back. And I'm not sure if that's reasonable or not reasonable. Obviously, it has a lot to do with the administrative staff above us that would make that decision. But I would hope that we could do it sometime before the end of the year, if possible. So just keep your minds open to that. Again, I just don't want it to be forgotten, and I want to make sure we establish that precedent, or I should say that historical opportunity for both Jeff and Robin as well. They haven't met the classified in that type of environment, and it's really valuable for all of us. So Robert, if you hear of anything in the future that looks like an open date, we'll all be on it. Anybody else want to share anything? Jennifer, did you want to share, or Donna, did you want to share?
I have a couple of just quick updates. I was going to share in staff updates, but for the classified luncheon, we have met, as Robert mentioned, as a committee, a planning committee. We're exploring creative ideas. We're working with the communications department to create some creative videos that will be shared out that week. We've also discussed the possibility of an event that may be a hybrid event for those who are comfortable coming to campus, some grab and go type event. If we're not able to do it in the month of May, when the timing is appropriate, we're exploring those options right now.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you for that update.
Janine, I have, once the resolution is adopted, I have kind of a related announcement. At the last meeting, we announced the selection of Classified Employee of the Year. And so the team was queued up and ready to show a video.
Yeah.
I missed the mark on that. So once we adopt the resolution, I'd like some time to share a little bit more information about that.
Okay, great. So
Janine,
go ahead, Jeff.
Was this the luncheon? Is this the one we used to do? We do one at the PCC campus, one at the LAC campus. For example, next to the pool, there's that little quad area. Is that the same luncheon we're talking about?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, you're shaking your head no, Donna. What are you talking? You're on mute, Donna.
Maybe it's been a long time since maybe that was a long time ago. Robert, have we ever had one? I only know of something in the cafeteria and something on the quad.
Something in the cafeteria is usually the holiday event that you guys put on, but then we've done them outside for near, like Jeff said, near the entrance to the PE building, and we've done them.
Oh yes, okay.
Outside
PE building.
of PCC.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that.
PCC, we did it outside of
quad,
kind of the admin building. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's typically where they've been held. But the one that's indoors in the cafeteria is generally hosted by you guys, although that's moved from time to time as well.
No, they're nice events, and what I remember is that from the board to administration to me, Mung, we'd serve, or we'd try to serve. if we
Exactly.
didn't screw it up, but,
Yeah, we'd always
Yeah.
be providing the service to our employees. So
no,
a nice
it
way
was
to
always a fun event. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that just because I like getting free food, but it was always an enjoyable event. So
no, it's fun. We
Mhm.
have raffles and things like that.
that was it. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, that's something else to look forward to.
Yep.
I was gonna say the event predates my time and Juliet's time, but in reviewing some of the notes from previous years, it's usually themed. There's food involved, there's fun activities, there's raffles, and so it's a really engaging event, and we certainly look forward to it in the future.
Yep. I'm sure that
Thank you.
Donna, Robert, and Dario have been there from time to time. I'm not sure about Stacy.
So you're saying that once again, I'm part of a museum piece, that I was way back then, I was part of this, like the blue, God, okay.
You said it, not us, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. It was a lot of fun though.
Okay.
I look forward to it.
Anyone else have any comments? Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and vote on the resolution for Classified Employee Week, Classified School Employee Week. Robin? I think we lost you there, Robin. I think you're on
Sorry,
mute.
I was muted. I apologize. I vote
all right.
aye.
Thank you. Jeff?
Aye.
I vote aye, and that passes unanimously. Thank you. On to this B of new business. This is approval of eligibility list. This is for administrative assistant. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the
Jennifer, is she gonna do the video now?
I'm
or
so
later?
sorry. I
Oh,
don't
I'm
mean to
sorry.
chime in.
We walked over the video. Let's step that back and go to the video. Thank you, Jennifer.
So I'll share a little bit of background information. So at the last meeting, we announced the selection of Linda Olmos, the Dean of Student Equity, Sonia De La Torre. She joined us. She shared a little bit about Linda's background. She's been with the district as an enrollment specialist since 2016. And the video really highlights some of her contributions to the classified service. So we'll jump right into that. Go ahead, Dario. Thank you.
Every year, Long Beach City College recognizes one member of our Viking family as the Classified Employee of the Year. I'm proud to announce that for this year, LBCC selected Linda Olmos. For those of you who aren't familiar with Linda or her work, she is a dynamo. Linda is an enrollment specialist in the Student Equity Office. She has been instrumental in the design and implementation of the LBCC Justice Scholars Program. She helps criminal justice systems impacted and formerly incarcerated students with the onboarding processes, connects them with counseling supports, and referrals in the community for basic needs and services.
Linda has been a key figure in the LBCC Heritage Month celebrations that was started 2 years ago. And she's been instrumental in the development of business processes to distribute Chromebooks and hotspots to students. But she goes above and beyond her day-to-day duties. Since the campus closure last March, Linda volunteers each week to help prepare grocery bags for students for the grab and go events in partnership with the basic needs area. Her reliability to provide services is driven by a deep commitment to meet students' basic needs.
She has also been willing to drop off technology or groceries to students who are unable to make it to campus within the scheduled pickup times. Most importantly, Linda has demonstrated time and time again her passion and commitment to serving our LBCC students by creating programming with them in mind. Linda created a workshop after realizing that many students were having trouble navigating the student emergency aid process. She developed another when she recognized that Justice Scholar students did not possess the digital literacy to navigate the online learning environment. And she implemented a virtual open house for students to learn about the various support programs and resources.
As your colleague, I can tell you that she holds herself and the institution to high expectations to meet students' needs. Because of her commitment to excellence, demonstrated initiative, and a deep understanding of the importance of partnership and collaboration in making true change for our students, Linda Olmos is LBCC's 2021 Classified Employee of the Year. LBCC is so lucky to have Linda here supporting our students. Congratulations, Linda.
Congratulations, Linda.
Congratulations, Linda.
Congratulations, Linda.
was a wonderful production on that video. Thank you so much, Dario, for showing that, Jennifer, for getting that together. They did a really great job. Thank you. Anyone else?
We just want to congratulate Linda and thank her for representing the classified service, and also thank the communications team for putting that together.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Really great.
She's a hard worker. I've worked with her on the grab and go. I am so amazed, and I am so happy to be supportive of her gaining this recognition. Well done. I couldn't think of a better person. Well done.
To come up with all those initiatives, that's amazing. That's really great. Thank you so much. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll go on to approval of eligibility list for administrative assistant. May I have a motion on this item.
I'll make the motion.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. And is there any discussion? This is on administrative assistant eligibility list.
I just have a question on, you have 500 and plus applicants, and then it got scaled down to 18, 17. Mike, is that unusual to have that many come in and to have to sort through? I mean, it just seemed to be, the numbers seem to be really unusual, or is it just typical and I'm not around it enough? That was quite a few applicants, and then to scale it down to qualified, and then finally, I think they finally got it down to 7, if I look at it. But is that normal?
So the administrative assistant classification is a clerical support role. It is entry level in the administrative assistant series. So the volume was high. The application window was also the full 14 days. Sometimes we can have a shorter period to help manage the number of applications we receive. So again, just working with multiple test parts, supplemental questions, working with SMEs who review responses to that, holding a first level interview, a panel, we're able to screen that down considerably. But you're right, it was a very large pool, 526 applications, narrowed down to 18. Oh, this piece of information is for you, Jeff. 18 were internal applicants. I know you've been interested in that number.
Oh, really? That's it.
Yeah, 508 met the bare threshold of minimum qualifications. 18 were invited to the oral panel interviews. From there, 7 made the eligibility list, and of those 7 on the eligibility list, 3 happened to be internal candidates as well.
That's great.
A lot of work.
Yeah, that is a lot of work.
All right, very good.
Good job.
And Robin, I think you've also asked in the past just how many internal applicants have promoted to new positions. So
yes.
This piece of information is for you. Over the last 6 months, we've had 4 internal applicants promote internally through our recruitment processes.
That's great.
That's what I like to hear.
Okay, any other comments or discussion on the administrative assistant position for the eligibility list? Hearing and seeing none. Robin?
I vote aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That passes unanimously. On to item C, approval of extension of working out of class. This is for Karen. I'm apologizing in advance if I mess up her name. Parvianen. And so can we have some information on Jennifer, please? Or Karen,
Motion,
please,
you want a
Jennifer.
motion first?
Oh, motion, yes, please. I'm sorry, Jeff.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Thank you. And Jennifer, information on Karen?
Sure. So the accounting series has accounting technician 1, level 2, senior accounting technician, and the professional accountant series. So this is the journey level position in that series. Here to share more about the working out of class opportunity, we do have, I believe, Cindy Baker and Stacy Robinson from Fiscal Services. Cindy or Stacy, did you want to share a little bit more about this position? I know it's to fill a current vacancy in the ASB. I think there's like a domino effect happening. You want to go ahead, Stacy?
So I'm here instead of Cindy, sorry. So in June of 2020, Felicia Amador, who held that position, left to go to LakeGo actually. And due to the pandemic and the I'll say the reduced workload because the students have not been on campus. I chose to hold off filling that position until now. So that position is to support the ASB bank duties and obviously student life.
So Stacy, this is in anticipation of students coming back onto campus and needing someone back in there sooner rather than later. Is that correct?
Yes. So with the urging of John and Cindy and Jennifer Ramos, we're proceeding with the recruitment now, hopefully to have someone in there by July. Karen is currently a cashier in the cashier's office. So she's been helping me with the lower level stuff and I've been doing the higher level stuff.
Okay. So Jennifer, we anticipate having this filled by July 1st or so?
Yeah, the recruitment is currently underway right now, so we anticipate that.
Okay, great. Any other comments? Jeff, Robin, Robert, Donna? Hearing and seeing none. Robin?
I vote aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
I vote aye, and that passes unanimously. On to public hearing. This is for our budget for the Personnel Commission for 2021-2022 fiscal year. And so I need to, do I need to do anything special for that?
So this is
Jennifer?
the second hearing of the budget information. There's no action required. We will be voting on this at the next PC meeting.
Okay. So right now we're just getting more information, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on the budget for 2021-2022?
My
Anything
questions
look-
were answered last meeting.
Yeah, most of us had our questions answered. We're all good? Classified, we're all good? Okay. With that, we will just pass that on to the next meeting where we will be voting at that time. Information items, our next meeting is Monday, May 3rd, 5 o'clock, and that will be via Zoom. And comments from the staff. Jennifer, do you have anything for us this evening?
I sure do. I want to see, I have a special guest that was going to be joining us. I don't see that they've joined just yet, so I'll go ahead and go to my second item here. I wanted to provide a quick update regarding the class study. I know that is an important topic to everyone. I was able to meet with AFT to review and agree on the appeal process. What we arrived at is that we need objective rationale and evidence to support the request. That's what we're going to be asking from employees. Once we send them a notice, if for some reason they disagree, as long as they provide objective rationale and evidence to support their request, we will look at it one final time. The way that we envision this happening is a three-tiered approach. So tier one would be, for example, any feedback that the employee wants to provide on the job description alone. So something that's relatively easy to fix quickly, we'll respond to that. Tier two would be further review is necessary. For example, a reclassification to another position. If that is the case, then we would have to look into that carefully, work with the direct supervisor, work with the area VP. It would take a few additional steps. That would be an example of a tier two request or appeal request. Anything that would fall into tier three would require PC review and approval. And so we will be providing those instructions should we need to reach that level. And so instructions and parameters will be provided in the notice to employees along with their individual position allocation outcome. So they'll receive a notice, they'll be able to see what their current title is, what's being proposed for their case, any instructions related to the appeal process, a timeline associated with that appeal process, and our target date to start sending those notifications out is April 30th. So the very end of this month and on a rolling basis through the month of May. So that's our kind of our target plan of action and timeline. I don't know if Robert and Donna want to chime in and share anything about the committee meeting that we had.
Donna and Robert, do you have anything for us?
No, Jennifer pretty much covered everything that we covered. And the additional thing that Robert discussed, I think, is best left to us to know.
Yeah, I'd rather keep most of that offline. We still have more negotiations to discuss before we say things publicly.
Is there anything we should know? Can I put it that way?
No, everything's moving forward as best we can. It's just, there's always details to work out, and that's
Sure.
what we do during our committee meetings.
Okay. What do you feel the tone of the classified is at this point? Are you feeling that they are ready for the next step or not?
They've been ready for the next step for the last years. I mean, we're trying to wrap this up as best we can and to make it equitable to everyone at the same time.
Sure.
That's our ultimate goal, is that it works out for everyone at the same time and is equitable to everyone.
Donna, did you want to add anything?
No, Jennifer covered it very well. That's pretty much all we can talk about here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And is there anything else, Jennifer?
That is my update related to the class study. I just received word that our guest is trying to join the meeting. So Dario, if you would please let Dr. Munoz in. I'll just go ahead and quickly introduce him. I know many of you have worked with him in the past. He joined LBCC in 2018 as a Vice President of Student Affairs. He's providing executive leadership to LBCC. He provided executive leadership to LBCC's enrollment services, financial aid, counseling, student health, psychological services, student life, athletics, and student equity. And he has joined us today to reintroduce himself to everybody and say a few words. Do we have Dr. Munoz on yet?
I don't have him in the waiting room yet.
Okay.
Well, we look forward to his arrival.
Two things. One, Jennifer, and I know it's an obvious statement, but when you come back with us on the classified study, just make sure everything's documented. That can be documented. There's certain things that are not really for us, but especially on the appeal process. So just please make sure everything is in a written, that we have something to call it constantly check on. So I know that's an obvious statement, but just please do so.
Absolutely. Part of the conversation I had with Robert and Donna was providing some sort of a information cover sheet and then a hyperlink to a Microsoft form where the appeal process is meant to be really straightforward. Employee, tell me your name, your title, your direct supervisor, what is the objective, again, rationale or evidence that you want to provide to support us looking into your case further, and literally just 2 questions, 2 fields that they can submit that information. There's even been discussion about having every single employee acknowledge receipt of some sort of the information that they receive. If they choose not to appeal, at least they're acknowledging, I've received my class study notice. I'm not choosing to appeal at this time, but I'm aware of the outcome and I'm comfortable moving forward. So that is part of the discussion that we've been having.
And that's fantastic. And even the response to what goes back to the individual on why the reasoning was supported, rejected. So again, just the paper trail is critical on all that. So I know you've been handling it that way, but yeah, continue to do so. That's great.
Jennifer, when you say that, I'm sorry, Jeff, were you done?
No, just like Robert, we want to get it done and get it done in a way that everyone feels good about it too. So that's a challenge.
Jennifer, when you were saying everyone will be acknowledging it, what about the classifications that generally don't use email? And so there's a lot of them. Are we somehow spreading that word through, their managers or whatever communication they have with their day-to-day work space, or how's that happening?
That is part of the conversation I had with Robert, Donna, and Mark Smith as well. Mark's not with us today, but he was part of the committee discussion. We had a discussion about whether in those cases we should be reaching out to employees via their personal email accounts or phone numbers. And we agreed that everybody has received a business, an LBCC business account. even in facilities, Robert, maybe you can chime in if you know a little bit more, but even our custodians, they have an designated email address, and they're allotted time to be able to access a computer. So we want to keep everything centralized, electronically distributed, electronically collected, especially given the remote environment that we're working in. Now, if for some reason an employee receives no word from us and they reach out to HR, absolutely, we would send it to them via paper, via mail as needed.
The only reason I say that is I know that people have an email. It doesn't mean that they check it. I know that I have an email. I've never been able to get into it. But I also, I worked with someone who was a football coach for 40 years and just like would not touch email. And he was a very, very outstanding football coach, but that just wasn't his thing. And I know some people, it's just their job isn't dependent on email, and so they never go into that. So I just want to make sure that there's some sort of outreach, and Robert and Donna, Mark would be, much better sources for that, to make sure that no one is left unaware of this really critical piece in what's happening with classification study.
Yeah, we were intending to notify the graveyard and anyone that's not normally involved with email. So to make sure they're aware, since they're all technically the same class, it's not like we're divulging anything by printing it out. Okay. And make sure that it gets posted in those areas. I don't really have a problem with that one because it's one class, to be honest, that we're really talking about. Maybe two, lead man and supervisor to summary, but that's out of my preview. But I can work that out with Jennifer. There isn't a problem. I'm not really expecting to have a problem with that particular group in this time, because I figured I can help out with that portion to make sure everyone gets it and make sure that they read, or if we get access to let HR know, to send it to them if that's what they need.
Appreciate that, Robert.
One of the things that we also, part of the plan is to notify by VP area. So of course, once we make the announcement, this VP area's notifications have gone out, or notice to employees have gone out. If anybody doesn't receive it within a day or two, we can follow up with the VP area or the directors.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Sure.
Robert, something you said sort of prompted something. So I'm sure that there are areas where these particular employees either congregate when they come on duty, leave. I'm wondering if just, not necessarily their class spec, but just a general notice of the timeline of when they should be logging in or asking, or, please be aware that during this time, your class spec will be coming through, or whatever the process is, so that they're at least prompted to ask if they've not received anything.
Yeah, that's probably a much better approach. We hadn't really worked out the details, but that was where it was leading.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
We'd reach out and make sure that they know what was happening.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Robert. Jennifer, did you have anything else, or was that it?
That's it related to the class study and the appeal process. It looks like we have Dr. Munoz on the line, and I just want to announce that he's joined us. He's been serving in our interim superintendent president role since March 4th of 2021. So go ahead, Dr. Munoz, take it away.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, I appreciate the warm welcome and introduction. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be with the Personnel Commission this evening. Many of you already know me, so this is more of a reintroduction than an introduction. But good evening, Mike Munoz. I have the privilege of serving as the interim superintendent president. Prior to my arrival in this role, I was serving as the vice president of student services for the last 3 years almost. And it's really been a great experience. And so I've got to work with the Personnel Commission in different capacities over the last 3 years. And so I look forward to continuing to work with each of you in my new role. And so I kind of going to pause there and allow folks to maybe just ask me any questions. And then depending upon the questions, I do have just a couple of closing thoughts and reflections that I would like to offer.
I have a question for you. What would you like to see from us that maybe you haven't seen in the past, or maybe you'd like to see us continue?
That's a great question. So, I think for me, it's not so much something that I think that didn't happen in the past. I think it's very situational, right? In terms of what we're living through with the pandemic. One thing that I think I would ask, and because for me, I have a lot of respect for the Personnel Commission and our rules and procedures. So I don't want to be someone that's looking like I'm trying to cut corners or circumvent our processes and procedures, right? I want to have respect and honor those. At the same time, this is a time where we probably need some flexibility on different things. So for example, we are receiving at this next week's board meeting, we'll be accepting HERF 1, HERF 2, and HERF 3 funds, formerly known as CARES Act, right? So we're now calling it HERF. We can expect these funds to be able to support us over the next 18 months to 24 months, depending upon if we're talking HERF 1, HERF 2, or HERF 3. And so recognizing that we have these additional funds, I think it's very important that we are able to hire limited term employees to support some of the additional work that is a direct response to reopening the campus, right? Or a direct response to providing support during the pandemic. It would be very disruptive to hire folks for 6 months on a 24-month set of funding, right? And then every 6 months churn people out. It just would be very difficult because probably by the time they're starting to learn the role and being able to really support the role, that they would be hitting their time lapse, right, for the 6 months. So one thing I think would be very helpful is during this time of reopening the campus and what it looks like, and as we're onboarding some limited term employees, that we can work with both our AFT partners as well as the Personnel Commission for positions that are specifically hired by this funding source with the sunset date to provide a little bit of flexibility to maybe extend beyond the 6 months so that we can have the human capital that we need to keep the campus safe and to support our students and faculty and staff the best way we can, but not necessarily commit ourselves to positions beyond the timeline of the funding source. Because I think what I sometimes feel, and this isn't unique to LBCC, we see this at other institutions as well, is there that tension that if we hire folks in permanent roles, then that triggers layoffs when the funding source goes away and folks don't want to do layoffs. So then we just end up on this vicious cycle of, well, no hiring because we don't want to lay off people in the future. But then if you don't hire folks, then you don't spend these funds, and then the funds go back to the feds, and then you get criticized for not spending the funds. Or conversely, you don't hire folks, and then you're just putting weight on existing employees, and they buckle under the weight of, not only do I have to do my regular job duties and perform those, but I also now have to absorb all these additional requirements and workloads as a response to reopening the campus in a safe and responsible way. So I think if we could have some support around some flexibility in extending the 6-month kind of requirement for not a blanket like all LTE positions, but just those that are supported by HERF funds, I think that would make a huge impact in how we can reopen the campus in a safe and smart way.
What do you think would be a good source of or an opportunity for communication between yourself, the vice presidents, whoever is initiating these LTEs, with the AFT and ourselves to make sure that that communication is flowing as easily as possible and that we're being as responsive as possible while also being cognizant of the employees that are currently in positions and not trying to undermine what they're doing? How do you foresee that happening with these 3 areas?
That is an excellent question. And I really appreciate that question because I think for me, when I hear that question, I think the importance of communication as well as transparency. Right. So I'll start with communication. I think one is to work with our AFT partners to make sure that everything is that we're communicating effectively the number of positions we're talking about. We're being transparent with the funding sources, right? So I talk a little off the cuff, so I apologize if I'm dropping my filter a little bit, but I'm just going to speak very genuinely. I think sometimes folks who might be sitting in an opposite chair of myself might say, are you going to use these funds to circumvent replacing existing positions? Or are you going to use these funds to, or just in a way that's not supportive of other employee groups? And so the idea is that we need to be very transparent in this so that folks understand what we are doing is really to support the campus, right? It's not to circumvent anything. So I think number one is being very clear that these are the positions, as well as the funding sources. So we're not using a HERF position so that to replace something that we're just choosing not to backfill, because that will create kind of some negative feelings, right? So we're going to be very transparent. And then I think we can prepare, and this came out of our PLC conversation today, there could be a memo that's produced periodically so that in the spirit of transparency, here are the HERF related positions. These are the timelines. So it's to, I think Robert's point, he asked a question at PLC, is it 2 years? No. It's up to 2 years or the lapsing of the funding source, whichever comes first. So if you step in, so people don't think, oh, this is a 2-year position. No, it's really, if you step in right now, it'll probably be 2 years, but if you step into this role 6 months from now, it might only be 17 months. So it just really comes down to when you step into the role, the funding source, when that funding source expires, and just being very transparent that when that funding source expires, so does that position, right? We're not gonna continue it beyond the life of the funding source. So I think, again, just being very transparent, providing regular personnel commission memos that are very transparent so that there's no question who's on what funding source, how many positions are we talking about, making sure that they're not being leveraged in a way that doesn't support our regular permanent positions. I think all of that will hopefully help and keep people feeling that this is a positive strategy as opposed to one that's not.
Thank you. Robin, Jeff, Robert, Donna?
I think transparency is the key. You know how I feel. And I think that's the best way to go about it when you bring everyone into the room. And if you post it and you show that this is the position, this is the duration, you can't go wrong. And that is really the key, is information. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate your approach. It's an honest approach and it's a respectful approach. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gordon Peterson. Thank you.
Jeff, did you have anything?
No, I mean, I appreciate coming in, and I was going to say you're having fun yet, but I think the last thing I did on the board was read your contract into the record, which I always found, I hated doing that because you told your salary, your time frame, and I just felt it was so insensitive, but we had to do it because of state law. But I think that was one of my last acts. So hopefully you're having fun. But
I am for 3 years.
That's great. Well, so thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Commissioner Kellogg.
Anyone else have any questions for Dr. Munoz? I just want to say thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. I hope you know that we always have an open door. And if you ever feel like there's any hiccups, please don't hesitate to pick up a phone or text me, whatever the case may be. Jennifer has my number because I always want to be like Robin says, the transparency is such a key piece. And we would love to hear from you as much as you can. I know that you're extremely busy, but we appreciate you coming in tonight. And just that one piece of information that you shared with us is invaluable. So thank you so much for that. And congratulations.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. So I'm going to step off now. But just, I want to, in closing, just say that I have, like I mentioned in the beginning, I have a strong respect for the Personnel Commission and the rules of the Personnel Commission. And so if there's ever an opportunity where you need me to come and speak to some of the other comments, be transparent, to respond to anything, I will always make myself available. And I just look forward to being strong partners.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Munoz.
Thank you.
Okay, that was wonderful.
It was.
We are, now I've lost my place. We are, comments from the staff. Jennifer, did you have anything else for us?
Not at this time, Janine.
Okay, thank you. Comments from the commissioners. Robin, Jeff, do you guys have anything for us tonight?
I just wanted to thank Jennifer and her team for providing that updated budget information. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Jeff, do you have anything?
Time. Thank you.
I will just share that I was honored to participate in the video opportunity for graduation last week. I think it was Thursday. It was so much fun. I've always been a huge person who loved I just love graduations. And so because I have my own cap and gown, I was able to participate in It was just glorious. It was a beautiful day. They released white doves. It was videotaped. Most of the employees that were on campus hadn't seen each other in a year. So it's just very joyous, like you would see at an actual graduation. And I was just very honored to be part of it and very grateful that we were able to do it, even though it wasn't completely back. A little piece of it was, and it was just a wonderful day. So thank you to everybody who put that together and participated. I hope that it's reflective of our spirit for the graduates as they go through their day. I think it's next month. On to public comments. This is on non-agenda items. Do we have anything that are non-agenda items from the public this evening? Anybody? Doesn't look like it. So with that, we're going to recess into closed session. I know that a lot of people like to hang out sometimes to hear what's going to be announced in closed session. I don't anticipate anything being announced, so I don't want to waste your time if you'd rather get on to dinner or get going on to something else that you're doing this evening. But we are going to have closed session pursuant to public employee performance evaluation, pursuant to Government Code 54957. This is for the interim executive director, classified human resources. So that's what we're doing in closed session. But like I said, no public action is anticipated. So I just don't want you to hang out thinking that something earth-shattering is going to happen when we come back, because it won't be. So with that, I would like to thank you all for being here tonight. I really appreciate your input, and we so much value what you have to share with us. So thank you, and I hope we see you at the next meeting. With that, we're going to close to closed session, and I think that's going to include Jeff, Robin, Jean, and myself. Dario, if you could let us know when we need to get into that breakout room.
Stand by.
Okay.
Thank you, Dario. We are reconvening from closed session back into open session. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. There is no reportable action on the public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. That was for interim executive director classified human resources. And again, there were no actionable items for this evening. With that, we thank you for being here tonight. We thank you for your time. We thank you for your participation. As always, we hope that you join us at our next meeting, and thank you for being here. Bye, everybody.